Let me start off with the secret player, the winger that we didn't know who they were. I got confirmation only about 40 minutes ago about who that winger was or who that player was. You ready? It was Endrick. And it was Endrick, and apparently the reason that Endrick wasn't able to be convinced was, at least according to my sourcing on this one, somebody from within his own family, let's just put it on that way. Rather than throwing anybody under the bus, let's just say somebody within his own family wasn't very keen to move to Liverpool or to the UK. I don't even know if it's Liverpool specific, but that was the player. We had Allison working on him. Apparently Bobby was in his ear as well. And that was the mystery winger, or the mystery player that Liverpool were looking to try to bring in. I'd just seen there a while ago as well that Paul Joyce had posted to say Liverpool asked about the availability of Endrick, whose chances of featuring regularly at the Bernabeu have been impacted by the arrival of Diamonde. However, it's understood Real are not looking to let the Brazilian leave. I think they were willing to let him leave, but again, we couldn't convince him to come over to Liverpool. So that's the understanding that I have around the mystery player that we were talking about the other day. So, take from that what you will. Yeah, don't know what else to say about the Minteh situation. I mean, we'll all have our own opinions on it. I've been pretty strong in my opinion of Minteh all summer, but I've also said that as a secondary option, I wouldn't be against it. But then the injury came about. And look, I'm adult enough to understand that maybe Liverpool are looking past the 8-week thing and looking a little bit longer. And that's fair enough. But it still just feels weird. Like, if Minteh was somebody who we really wanted to go after, why didn't we do it at the start of the window? Why did we do it when Brighton would have had more time to find a replacement before he picked up an injury? It just all feels so scattergun and so chaotic behind the scenes. Yeah. That's where I'm at with the Minteh stuff. But look, there's lots more we're going to go through tonight. But if you guys have any questions or comments, lash them in. I'll do my best to get to them. Right, couple more to get through. If we sign an injured right winger to replace Salah, who's left on a free for own choice, I'm going to lose my shit. I get it. It doesn't seem sensible. Like I said, it feels insane at this point. But look, there's two ways to look at the Minteh offer. You can either look at it to think Liverpool are genuinely going for him and they might go back in again. Or you can look at it and think maybe they're trying to send a message to Paris Saint-Germain about having other options for the situation with Mbappé. And I don't know what Liverpool's plan is. I don't know what way they're going to follow this up. But I see some people from the Brighton side who certainly feel that there's more to come on the Minteh stuff, that we won't stop there. There could be another offer coming in. Now, I don't have that information, so I can't, say to you guys that's the case. But like we said, I mean, last night we talked about the Indicala stuff, right? And people said to me, Craig, Indicala is full of it. And I pushed back a bit and I said, I also know who runs that account and I know of their credentials. So sometimes with that particular account, there is put out there some stuff that is a little bit very, very early, shall we say. But there's often some credibility in those posts. And I was able to reach out to the person and ask, is there anything to this? And it's obvious now that there was, right? Because it came out today from Ornstein and others that Liverpool had a bid rejected from. So again, like I say, there's things I know sometimes, or people I know, that I can't divulge stuff publicly, but it's worth keeping an eye on that account. Some of the stuff that comes from the Indicala account might come to absolutely nothing. But in amongst it all, there is some grains of truth in there occasionally and some early signs. It's just a matter of trying to figure out what's what. Toshkop, hey Craig, I'm really concerned about this season. They just don't care. Greetings from Bulgaria, my friend. Let's hope for a good end of the window. Look, you've no argument for me about FSG not caring. I've said this for a very long time. But look, nothing about this screams well planned, well executed, well thought out. And I've tried to say this all summer. I know that there's a scatter behind the scenes. I know that Liverpool are in a bit of a rush to try and get things done. I know they're leaning on lazy agents or lazy deals with agents that they have pre-existing relationships with. All of this stuff is reactionary. Now, the question I'm going to have to our esteemed journalist friends who cover the football club all the time, how have you got to let them away with this? What have you got to say about this, my journalist friends? The data-led recruitment, the model that was the envy of the world. Well, apparently the data shows one leg, no fucking problem for Liverpool, will take you anyway. So are these lads really going to still defend the indefensible? are these people who write about the football club but need the access to the football club finally going to grow a pair and stop calling out the likes of my mate Eddie Gibbs, who wrote a wonderful piece today and called out Richard Hughes rightly and said he should have been sacked rightly. But then, of course, the pylon comes on in because Eddie dares to talk about the truth. Anybody who supports this football club that looks at this window and doesn't think it's a shit show is either delusional or misinformed. But again, I'm going to keep saying what other people won't say. It's a shit show. It's not good enough. You deserve better. We deserve better. These lads are spoofers. It's as simple as that, lads. It just is. There's no rhyme or reason to this. It's madness. And we've been trying to uncover 3, 4, 5 options. But again, where is the joined up thinking? Where's the preferences? Where's the plan? There isn't any. It's the end of the window, and yet again, Liverpool are trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat. It's madness. It's absolute madness. So I don't know how we end up on the right-hand side. I don't know if they go back in for Minteh. Like I said, some of the people on the Brighton side think they will. I don't know whether Liverpool will go back now to PSG for Ibrahim Mbaye. I really don't know what that looks like. You also found out, as I said, that we were looking at Endrick as well, but we couldn't get that one over the line. So failure should be the nickname for these boys, because the data lads they've had a stinker again, haven't they? But, you know, will they be called out on it? Will they be held to account from the people who write about the club? Will they? Fuck. Franklin said, as the new season starts, I can't wait to see how long it takes for our ungrateful, shiny head to turn on Areola, same way he turned on Slot. It probably won't happen, mate, but you'll still be here watching, so I'm winning either way, right? You know, you're giving me money to insult me, and I'm sitting here laughing at you because you helped put my kid through college, so you crack on, bro. And I turned on Slot because, and I don't know if you're aware of this, he wasn't very good at his job. So it must have been me and the millions of other Liverpool fans, Franklin, that, turned on him. But yes, I do have a shiny head, mate. We've discussed how much your mother likes this already. Do we need to go through it again? But look, I'm going to move on now because I have serious business to get to. But you just asked an adult next time to type out the message for you, bro. We good? Right. Star Replier said, I'm sorry, I'm so gullible, but I can't see us panicking this badly for an injured player. We didn't see an underlying value, but I know I'm stupid. Look, it would be unfair of me to say that Yankuba Minteh hasn't been a target for a while. It would be unfair of me to say that he wasn't on the list of people that were initially being looked at in a wide area. That would be unfair, because we've talked about it, and he was. And I've given you my take on it, that as a Salah replacement, I wasn't having it. But I was open to him after a senior player like Barcola. So I didn't want him to be the guy, but Barcola is going to be I know it's on a different side, but Barcola is going to be the premium signing for the summer. So I was always open-minded to Minteh after that. But with the injury situation, it just feels desperate at this point. Because whatever happens, we know we're not going to have him for at least 8 more weeks. And then he has to rehab, and then he has to get match fitness, and then he has to settle into Andoni Iraola's style. So it just feels so mad, doesn't it? Like, it's embarrassing at this point. And I don't know what else to say. Any pretense that this has been a well thought out window needs to be just binned off, because it's an embarrassment. And these lads are paid a lot of money for this level of failure. And as we said, we know he doesn't even see his future here. So what type of an ownership groups leave this man in charge when he's off at the end of the window and leave Liverpool's future in his hands? Because the recruitment this summer is going to have a knock-on impact. And the mess that he's making is going to have a knock-on impact. And the contract situation that he's made a mess of for so many players is going to have a knock-on impact. So again, label me toxic negative all you want, but I'm getting a little bit tired of being right about things and everybody else then playing catch-up, because I've been calling this out for a long, long, long time. It's not good enough. It's not good enough, and you deserve better. And don't ever be afraid to say that this is Liverpool Football Club. We shouldn't be operating like this. Look at what our peers are doing. And that's what I've tried to say all summer. Look around what Spurs are doing, Chelsea are doing, what Arsenal are doing. And then look at us. Like, imagine I said to you, we're going to make a bid for a winger who's out for 2 to 3 months. Imagine I said that to you the other day. You'd have all thought I'd lost the plot, and rightly so. But yeah, here we are. This is our reality as Liverpool fans right now. Stavros said, "Hey Craig, unsure how you still have the energy for talking about transfers. I'm fed up with this window. Hope they pull their fingers out at last." Um, I think we're all fed of the window. Like, sometimes you know it's going to be a quiet window, and you're mentally prepared for that. But we knew what we needed in this window. We knew who'd gone. We knew who'd walked out the door. And like I said, where's the plan? Because there hasn't been one. It hasn't been well executed. And this is a reactionary window. That's it, reactionary. To try and say that this is well thought out is an absolute farce. So, what we expect for the season ahead, honestly, who knows? I don't know what would happen. But I do know that, again, it's messy. And I do know that there will be a knock-on impact. And I do know that Iriola's probably sitting somewhere, shaking his head, wondering what on earth he's just walked into. But, this is why we need clarity as fans over the investment. We need to know the future of the football club and whose hands we're going to be in. Because FSG clearly just don't give a shit. And we don't know much about who's running what. We keep getting told nothing's going to change here, but we know Hughes is off to Saudi. We know Edwards is left. We know FSG are selling up at least 38% of the club. But there's been no communication, and we've drifted through this window again. We're rudderless. It's just not good enough. Asa Judah said, "Hey Craig, apparently tomorrow could be the day for Barcola." I don't know, mate. All I can say to you is it's going to happen. Nothing there has changed. There's even some PSG accounts now that are doing streams and stuff to say it looks like Barcola is going to be heading. Everybody speaking about has always said the same thing. This one will come to the conclusion, but it doesn't. It doesn't get away. It doesn't get them off the hook with how long this has dragged on, because most importantly, whether we agree or disagree with the signing of a player or anything else, let's just look at what managers want. They want players in as early as possible. They want time to work with them. And we could have put ourselves, and maybe are putting ourselves, in a situation where we bring in Minteh if they go back in again. We bring in Barcola. We sell Gakpo, and then we start the season a winger down for at least 2 months. Now, you can't win the league in the first 2 months, but you can certainly lose it. So again, where's the joined up thinking here? It's madness. It really is madness, folks.